Beep, 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 dee. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. This is our daily get together live here on Facebook every day of the week, Monday through Sunday, 10:30 in the morning. And what do we do here? We exchange headlines, comments, questions, ideas, topics, suggestions, anything that we can get our hands on that can help us become more informed English speaking locals about what goes on in Puerto Vallarta, what goes on in Mexico, and how we can best enjoy the fact that we live here. If you don't live here, you should consider it. It's an awesome life. No, seriously, this is our little gathering space for local English people that have to worry about everyday concerns like paying bills and paying taxes and where do we get a good deal at a restaurant? Where do we find this and that product that we cannot seem to find anywhere else? This is all part of what we do. We learn about Mexican culture, we learn about Mexican traditions and so forth. And if you are new, just let us know that you're new. My name is Paco, and we'd love to welcome new friends into our little cluster. If you have any questions during the broadcast, feel free to converse among everybody else. But if you want something brought up by yours truly or Luna, my assistant, who's out there gathering notes, please add the letter Q at the beginning of your comment or question, and we will try our best to look at it right during the broadcast. If not, we'll take a look at it shortly thereafter. As always, we start by greeting some of our friends that are in the house, such as Karen, and Anaheim is in the house. Good morning, John. It's great to see you. Good morning, Pat. It's great to see you too. Cinco de Diciembre is in the house. Excellent. Linda is in Cabo Corrientes. Cabo Corrientes, such a great municipality. Let's see. Michael tells us of an overnight snowfall. Michael, it's great to see you. I have a little bit of music news today. Sad news. A great musician passed away. We're going to talk about this in a second. And James, I love learning about Mexican culture with you. You know, I really do, because don't think for a moment that I am this kind of freaky walking encyclopedia. I do my homework and I love doing my research and go through books, history books that I still have in the house and websites and stuff, so that we can learn together to value the place that we call home. For me, it's about remembering a lot of things that I was taught when I was a kid, and sometimes discovering some new ones, which is really awesome. That is such a nice message, Stephanie. I hope that you're able to stay as long as you're expected or supposed to stay, and I really hope that you will make the best of it while you are here. Oh, Logan reports on Mr. and Mrs. Logan. That's what I called his parents. They're getting their first dose of the COVID vaccine. This is really great. Little by little, we're all getting closer to getting the vaccine, and that is part of what we're going to report on today. Needless to say, vaccination has happened in Mexico. We're going to see what's going on. We're also sharing an update, a good update on what we reported yesterday about that questionable construction that was going on at the Isla Río Cuale, or rather by the Cuale River. We're going to report on that. We're going to report on cultural spaces that are starting to reopen in Guadalajara City, and all kinds of good things. And I am so excited about tomorrow's Walking Wednesday that I am like this close from telling you where it's going to be and where I'm going to go. But I don't know. You might talk me into it, or we might keep it a surprise. We don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that it is time for the headlines. Yes, the headlines are here, and the vaccines for seniors are here. Vaccination began yesterday for seniors in different parts of Mexico, prioritizing marginalized sectors of the country. This was a request made by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. And as we can imagine, things didn't run quite as smoothly as we would like for them to have run, from people traveling from other towns to try to get ahead of other people, to folks just jumping in line. Reports came from different parts of the country indicating that things moved Well, things moved as best as they could. That said, one can only hope that this process will improve and get better with practice. I have another request, another report, this one coming from the Associated Press. This one is in English, adding a quote from Health Undersecretary Hugo Lopez Gatell indicating that regarding the situation today, he said, in effect, we have to acknowledge in a self critical way it was not speedy enough and did not have the finesse required for the opening day of vaccination. Those were the words of Hugo Lopez Gatell. But again, it can't get any worse. I hope. And all we can hope is that as the vaccination process continues to move forward, the people in charge of administering the process, the people in charge of doing the work, are going to become more adept at the process, such that when it's turn for us to get our vaccine, it won't seem as disorganized as it has been reported. We also have a report from Governor Alfaro, who has confirmed that no laboratories will sell vaccines independently until the month of October. What would Governor Alfaro be doing trying to buy vaccines? Well, this is part of an effort conducted by him and governors of other Mexican states to go ahead and purchase their own vaccines to complement and assist with the federal vaccine commitment and speed up the vaccination process. This was also done by the Federalist governors in an effort to have a little bit more control as to when the vaccines would be distributed and to guarantee that specific states would get their vaccines when they're supposed to. But of course, we know that labs are committed to delivering vaccines to entire countries, entire nations, so they cannot commit any kind of vaccine sales to individual states or to the private sector just yet. Let me come back to the big screen to see if there are any specific questions you may have about this. And Joe asks, I wonder if there was such a thing as jumping the line when other vaccines came out like polio, or is it a sign of the times now? Joe, I was not there, obviously, but I'm willing to bet that any other vaccine distribution efforts are going to have some kinks on the road, whether it is in Mexico or elsewhere, and it's just a matter of waiting and seeing what happens. Again, we go back to this notion of there being certain things that we can control and we cannot control. And Barbara gets ahead of me. Yes, we lost Johnny Pacheco. We'll talk about him in the leisurely section of the broadcast today. Let me continue with the news that we do have right now. And yesterday we reported that my bad. I didn't mean to throw the little song twice in a day. I pushed the wrong button. Apologies. Yesterday, we reported on this situation at El Caloso, where a certain developer, Río Cuale, decided to start building along federal land. And we know that the land next to the river is federal land. So the neighbors went ahead and made the protest. They protest. Oh my God, my English is not working today. They protested the fact that this construction and walling public land had been done in an unlawful way. And there's been a favorable development in the situation. We reported yesterday. Apparently, the second tower and the construction and everything that was being done has been halted. This is really good news. I'm going to share, of course, the news item for you to be able to see this, and you will see a number of photographs showing how the developer had already walled and limited access into the river so that they could start their construction. Of course, there's got to be more details to this. We don't know exactly how they decided they would start building and whether they decided they would start building just like that. or whether they were doing this in complicity with somebody from City Hall. The details, a lot of times, we don't even get to hear them. All I know is that a very important part of the green lungs of our city was attempted against, and fortunately, at least for the time being, this has been detained or stopped. James asks, where is Caloso? Caloso is, if you were to walk all the way to the end of Emiliano Zapata, heading towards the mountains, El Caloso is the neighborhood that is directly behind and on the other side of the Cuale River. And that's, if you've seen the Cuale Tower, the Rivera Cuale Tower, that tower is located in El Caloso. Moving right along, I think we have one more before the fold. And yes, this has to do with the Tokyo Olympics, which will take place this year from July 23rd to August 8th. As we know, there's been a lot of controversy as to whether they should even take place or not, but they're going to go ahead. And President Lopez Obrador has just confirmed that the athletes representing Mexico are considered among the priority groups that will receive the COVID-19 vaccines sooner than later. To that effect, Carlos Padilla, who is the president of the Mexican Olympic Committee, requested 1,000 vaccines for the delegation that will be participating in the Olympics. To date, 88 Mexican athletes, 49 men and 39 women, have qualified to participate in the Games, with 13 additional disciplines still pre-qualifying the athletes that will actually attend. And these are the formal news. I see some comments from you. Logan comments about how when he moved here, let's see. When I moved here over a decade ago, nobody would date set foot in El Caloso. Interesting to watch it gentrify of late. Some great restaurants have opened up there as well. Absolutely. El Caloso is not what it used to be. El Caloso used to be a neighborhood that you would not want to be walking after dark. And I don't know that I would still want to be walking it after dark, but a lot of people have purchased land or purchased homes there and fixed them up. And it is becoming a really interesting neighborhood and an up-and-coming alternative for folks that are finding Emiliano Zapata a little bit too expensive, I suppose. Sean says, before the fold. I understand that reference. Anyone else? That is so funny. I don't know why I said before the fold. I never said before the fold before, but I guess that's what came out of my silly mouth this morning. Let me see if there's any comments. And yes, oh, Michael and his crocodiles. The crocodiles would certainly feel unwelcome with those walls. No doubt about it. Let's see what else we have. Thank you for that, Karen. And that is very funny. That is very funny. Okay, so let's jump into the fold, and so that we can continue with what's coming on after the fold, rather. Let's do it. What a low energy sun, total lightweight, says our snarky weather forecast. And we also learned that it is 22 degrees in Puerto Vallarta right now, feels like 24. And that would mean that it is 71 degrees Fahrenheit. We have a 75% humidity right now. And the weather forecast for today is partly cloudy through the day with a high temperature of 25, low temperature of 15. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Walking Wednesday, it'll be clear through the day with a high temperature of 25, low temperature 14. And Thursday, it will also be clear through the day. 26 is the high, 14 is the low. Great temperature all around to be enjoying the city. And because I know that I am filming tomorrow's walk today, I am very happy to see that it'll be a little cloudy because it's a lot easier to film without too much contrast. And I think you're going to like the place that we're going to be going to. Let's see. Michael, have you introduced crocodiles to Centerville, Utah yet? Maybe that's what we should get Michael for his birthday, a bunch of crocodiles, so that he can keep himself interested up north. Heather comments on living in El Caloso, and yes, it's changed a lot. In fact, I've been wanting, and I will probably do a walk to El Caloso sometime in the near future, because you can get there through Gringo Gulch and then do a great loop, because you walk through Gringo Gulch, you go around El Caloso, and then you can come back to Emiliano Zapata on the other end. And it's quite a painterly walk because it's full of contrasts, and I'm sure you would enjoy it. In fact, this should be a fun walk to do over the weekend and put together for next week. I'm not making promises, but it's definitely on my list of places to go. And speaking of places to go, it is also nice to see, excuse me, that where's the button I'm trying to push? This one. Cultural spaces are slowly reopening in Guadalajara. Informador reports that cultural spaces are beginning to open in Guadalajara and, by definition, elsewhere in the state, with no more than 300 people authorized at any given event, unless the organizers receive special authorization. It is expected that, at least in Guadalajara, museums, galleries, cultural centers, and such will implement special hours to welcome senior citizens, and only groups of 10 people visiting together will be allowed at any given time. This is, of course, excellent news, and this makes visiting Guadalajara just a tiny little bit more enticing for those of us that crave the cultural offerings from the city. I am still not feeling quite eager to go to the city just yet, but I'm certainly feeling closer. And I will be looking forward to seeing any reports of upcoming concerts and performances, the kinds of things that I used to enjoy traveling to Guadalajara for before the pandemic. Then I also have a little bit of interesting good karma, bad karma news. Apparently, there is this couple. Well, before I tell you about the couple, I think there's a Mexican or Spanish saying that says "No hay nada oculto bajo el sol," which means there's nothing hidden under the sun. And sooner or later, if there's some wrongdoing involved, you are going to get busted. Or that was the case with this couple that was directly involved in the wrongful death of George Floyd last year in Minnesota. They had been hiding in Puerto Vallarta, and U.S. authorities shared this information with Mexican authorities, and it was just a matter of time before the couple was found in Mismaloya, where they went as far as opening a restaurant. As we know, George Floyd died on May 26, 2020, during an arrest by the Minneapolis police, which in turn polarized the nation and resulted in a number of protests against police violence. And now these individuals have been apprehended, and they're going to be taken back to the United States, where they will face the justice that they should be facing. I see more comments about. Oh, the radio sounds are gone. Oh, thank goodness! I thought the radio sounds were there, and it's funny because they had nothing to do with me. They were just coming from the internet ether, I suppose. But I'm glad that the radio sounds are gone. And of course, I also want to acknowledge the passing of salsa legend Johnny Pacheco. How very, very sad. Today we mourn his passing as one of the founders of Fania Records, which is a record label that he founded in the 60s, and it helped shape the career of many Latin greats, such as Celia Cruz and Rubén Blades and Willie Colon. He was a music director, he was a composer, an arranger, a producer, and is solely responsible for positioning salsa music in its rightful place among the different Latin music genres. I will leave you with a clip from the 2014 film Yo Soy La Salsa, or I Am the Salsa, which is a chronicle of his life and his legacy in the birth and rise of salsa as a musical genre. And I will leave that with you on the show notes today. It's a very important passing and a very sad one. Let me take a quick look at your comments just to see what you are thinking of. Fernando is coming to Vallarta this Thursday. Yeah, is right. Absolutely. James tells us about walking from Emiliano Zapata to Caloso. And yes, there are a lot of iguanas and butterflies. I will bring a good lens with me when I go so that I can take a good photographs of birds and nature and whatnot. Let's see what else. Joe Willis reports that he's hearing the voices. I hope the voices are fun and I hope they're not distracting from the broadcast. Uh, oh, what a great phrase. This is a sunny place for shady people. Well, it's interesting because, I mean, throughout the years that I've lived in Puerto Vallarta, and that would be 19 years now, and Heather, you can probably comment on this if you're still on board. There's been a number of questionable individuals that have come here hiding from things done in the past in other places of the world, but quite notably from the United States. Some of them trying to start new lives justifiably and trying to avoid whatever past that they are running away from. But every now and then we do hear from some people that inevitably justice catches up with them, and that's what happens here. John talks about Fania All Stars, and Fania All Stars is an interesting thing to talk about. Thank you very much, John. There was Fania Records, the record label, and Fania was one of the first, if not the first, record label that founded or created a supergroup comprised of all the artists that were signed to the label, and they call themselves Fania All Stars. And to hear, and they produced records together as such, and they would tour together, and the music and the rhythms were just absolutely infectious. And salsa music continues to be one of my favorite Latin genres because of the finesse of the arrangements. The arrangements often involve huge brass sections and horn sections, and they were just absolutely spectacular to listen to. We should talk about salsa. Note to self, let's talk about salsa one of these days. Let's see. Dave Schwartz reports on getting the COVID-19 test at Mercurio. Great staff. Test reminds me of green or red light at the airport. Yes, it's nice to know that Hotel Mercurio, along with other places in the city, are safe places where we can go and get tested for COVID-19 if we are traveling out of the country or if we are simply trying to have some peace of mind. Ricky leaves us, thank you very much, Ricky, with a long message that I won't be able to put on the screen because it's too large. But wow, Ricky, you're speaking to my soul with all these references that you're sharing. And it is comforting to know that other people feel touched and moved by this particular individual. Let's see. Jess had to cancel the third time trip to Puerto Vallarta. I hope that you can come here sometime soon. Michael asks, how exactly was the couple supposedly involved in George Floyd's death? Michael, that is the equivalent of asking, how is it possible that news sources report on these things but not with enough detail? I really wish I could answer that question, but I can't. The news item that I referenced only mentioned their first names, not even their last names, and there were no details provided. Otherwise, I would have loved to give you a more juicy blow by blow. Let's see. Heather comments, Vallarta could never be accused of being boring, attracting so many diverse characters over the years. Absolutely. And James wants us to talk about salsa. And thank you very much, John. I know that you appreciate these musical genres as much as I do. And I'm seeing other salsa positive comments here. So this is a good thing to see. I love hearing and watching your feedback because it just keeps me inspired on bringing new things to share with the community. And it is always a pleasure to research these things. And with that said, I think this is a good time for us to start saying farewell, at least until the next time we get together. Again, today is Tuesday. Tomorrow is Walking Wednesday. We're going to be going for a walk along the. I'm not going to tell you, but between now and tomorrow, or between now and whenever we get together again, I hope you continue to live your life as comfortably and as best as you can, given all these new guidelines that we are slowly but hopefully surely adapting into our everyday lives. Please stay kind, stay healthy, stay cautious, take good care of yourselves and those in your own personal communities. And last but not least, please stay in touch. And I will hopefully see you again soon. Have a great day.